Hey guys, I'm down here at the Fort Worth build. I had said that I was going to document this house as we build it. This is just 1 week after I shot the video of the foundation being poured. So we have gotten a substantial amount of framing done on it. It's a pretty good sized framing crew working on the house. It's a pretty substantial project between the house, the guest house, and the barn. Almost 17,000 square feet under roof. I am here at the Fort Worth build today to talk about framing, but one of the first things I want to show you is I did a video on foundation and post-tension foundations and how we have cables that are run through and they stick out of one side of the form board so they can have tension put on them later. The crew that does the tension has already come and gone and done all that. So I just want to show real quick, I'm going to turn the camera around, if it'll turn around. Here's what it looks like when it's all said and done. So this had the live ends, which were the cables that stick out. There's a crew that comes along, has a hydraulic machine that puts tension on these cables. Then they patch them, and you really can't see them anymore after they're done. Framing a house this size takes a while. We're gonna be here for probably 6 weeks, let's say. So we're here after the first week of framing. We've gotten as far as having the ceilings up. The very first thing that the framers do, they lay out the walls. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that here. I'm standing in kind of the entry. I'll turn the camera around. And if you can see these red lines here, hopefully you can see it, this is where they laid out a wall. So they showed the wall going all the way across. This is an entry, so we're not actually going to have a full wall, but we see the what's going to be kind of the entry arches when you come in. So after the framers have laid out all the walls with their chalk, they start building walls and putting them up. All the exterior walls get something called a SILL seal. Let me grab down in, there's a piece right here. This is a foam roll, just kind of a foam, almost like air bubble type stuff, but not actually air bubbles. It's meant to be a seal. And so this is laid down on all the exterior wall plates. So I'm going to show you real quick what a wall plate is. A wall plate is simply a term for the bottom board that we lay horizontally. You can also have a top plate, which is where the wall stops at the top. But when we are talking about an exterior wall on a bottom plate, you'll see just underneath there is the SILL seal. So that foam gets laid down. A treated lumber board gets laid on top of it because there's a chance it could come in contact with some moisture. Here's a really good shot of a bottom plate. We've got a 2x6 here. We've got a 2x4 wall here. So it kind of allows you to see the difference. That is treated lumber, so pressure treated lumber, again, meant to deal with moisture better than non-treated lumber. You can see the bluish SILL seal underneath. Another feature of bottom plates are the anchor bolts. Those are put in the foundation so many feet. As the framers come along and lay their plates down, they drill the holes so the anchor bolts can fit through. And those are designed to help hold the framing down. Something I didn't mention when talking about the bottom plates on exterior walls is the use of polyplastic to be used as a type of flashing to just, because this is a moisture area, this is our sheathing on the outside. There will be a brick ledge here, but this is to help prevent any rain moisture from getting up behind the wall. You can see that plastic running all along that exterior wall. So here's an example of a window opening. You've got your studs out here, your king studs on the side, your cripples underneath, and top cripples there. We call that beam that runs across the top the header. That's helping carry the weight of some of the load above it. And then we go up to the top plate. Interestingly, this is a one-story home, so I don't get to show any two-story floor systems. And the barn is going to have 2 floors, so we can show some when we get to that. But for here, we just got a big 1-story with some tall ceilings and things going on like that. So I'm going to show you some beams and some hangers joist with hangers. Sorry, try not to trip as I walk through here. So here's a good example of a one-story home. We've got some tall ceilings in here. We've got our 2x6 joists running across, and they are hanging on a big beam. And this is a laminated beam that goes across this entire span of this family room. And as you can see, those metal pieces, the joists actually hang on the beam. Those are called hangers. So that beam is the major structural component running the span of this room. And then all these ceiling joists are hanging off of that. So we've got more beams as I look through here doing the same thing. Kind of see them there, see it down there, you see it at the end. And so you can see that there's joists hanging off of all these beams. We also have beams running across some of the major entry openings here. Garages are always interesting because of the span in garages that you need. You'll see big beams across the garage doors. Those are carrying a lot of weight. We've got a huge beam running across here. As you can see, there's another beam coming off of it, hanging on it, and then smaller joists hanging on that beam. Interestingly, there's only been one roof put on this whole house so far, and it's in the primary bedroom. So I'm going to point up there. So turn the camera around real quick. They haven't put joists, well, you know what? They haven't put joists because this is a vaulted ceiling. So what we've got, bottom plate, stud to the top plate. Then we've got our rafters, our roof rafters. Those look like 2x8s, in this case, that are run in a vault formation. It's a pitched roof, so it would be run that way anyways. But instead of having a flat roof in here with joists going across, the underside of the sheetrock will follow the roof line because it's a vaulted ceiling. So there it is with the center ridge beam. In this case, we do have a lam beam up there, which is just an engineered piece of lumber, laminated pieces together that can handle the load required. If you ever are talking to a builder or anybody in the business and they mention plate height, that is the height of the wall from the bottom to the top where the roof line would start. So that also can dictate what you can do with your inside ceilings. So this is the back side of that wall I was just showing from the outside with the plate height. This actually has 12-foot flat ceilings in here. So we've got 12-foot stud walls from bottom to top plate, and that means we can get a 12-foot flat ceiling in here. The lower that your plate walls are, the lower your ceiling is going to be if you want it to stay continuously flat across. So interestingly, I'm in this room, which has a 12-foot ceiling. Behind me, it has a lower ceiling. That looks like 2 foot down. So that's a 10-foot ceiling across the way. Let's turn that camera around. So here's our 12-foot, then it drops down, and you see you've got a 10-foot ceiling there. So that means that this is a 10-foot plate wall. Okay? So as we're standing here, 10-foot plate all the way around. That's still a pretty tall plate. So we've got a 10-foot flat ceiling through here. Minimum 10 feet ceilings have become pretty common over the past 20 or 30 years, at least here in Texas with new homes. And so what you would see a lot though in homes that had lower plates is that to get to that 10 feet, you have to slope up till you get more to the center of the home where you have the room to then go flat across. So if this were an 8-foot plate, or let's just say this is a 10-foot plate, if they wanted a 12-foot ceiling in here, we would actually have to slope up for a bit till we got to 12 and then come flat across. Hope that makes sense. So as you can see behind me, the framers have put some exterior sheathing on the house. You've probably driven around, if you don't know what it is and seen this green stuff, it is by a company called Huber, and it's called Zip Wall. So what it is an oriented strand board. I'm gonna show you, I'm holding a piece right here. The green that you see on the exterior is essentially house wrap that is laminated to OSB, or what we call oriented strand board. OSB is a common material used for sheathing on houses, for attic flooring, for roof decking. And it is an engineered product where they take all those strands and glue and press them together. And it's a very durable and strong material. This came out some years back, which has the house wrap laminated to it. So for years, you were seeing house wrap put on houses. What it is it's a waterproof barrier, what they call a WRB. And that was originally made by Tyvek. And the interesting thing about it, I think we get Amazon packages and stuff with that wrapped in it now. It will not let moisture pass through it one direction, but it will the other. So on something like a house, what's happening is this green or this laminate, basically house wrap laminated to the wood, prevents water from getting in, but if there are moisture on the other side, it can come through. Then, after it's all put on, you're going to have all of your joints or your crevices where the wood meets, and there is a material called zip tape. I believe it is the stickiest substance known to man that goes over the top and seals all the joints. So we love zip wall. You will see volume builders are using, let's just say, more inexpensive stuff, foams and things like that that are supposedly structural, but it pales in comparison to using zip. This is why you see it on so many high-end homes now, because it is a great material. It is a plywood that then, once run on the outside of a house, helps lock it together, makes it that much stronger, prevents racking, which is the kind of movement a structure gets when the wind blows on it. And actually, here's a pile of it behind me. Big thing is zip wall. So we love this stuff. You are seeing it more and more. It is a more pricey product than some of the other things out there, but we feel that it's definitely worth its weight in gold. They have versions of it that are even insulated, so you can get insulation through your exterior sheathing. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. We're just in the early stages, again, first week of framing on this job. And you know, you can tell things aren't quite finished. We don't have roofs on it yet. We don't even have much of the attic floors built. But by the end of next week, we're going to be a lot further along. I'll keep coming out and shooting some videos of this. And yeah, hope this was helpful for you guys. If you enjoy these videos, please hit subscribe, hit like too. We'll be doing plenty on this project, and I am going to document this project as we go through it.